this is the culprit. This valve has gone bad. It is leaking. I've turned the water off to the house. First, I turned the water heater off. I've opened up the lowest drains in the house and I don't see any water dripping out of those, so I'm thinking I'm okay. There's no water in the tank. So we're gonna do it here. I'm gonna take the thing off and we're gonna see how it goes. Careful. All right, here we go. Okay, so here comes the water. And so what I did is I brought another dish so I could deal with the water that's coming out here.
It was at this point that I had screwed up and I accidentally deleted the video. I wanted to show how it was that I used a faucet handle puller to actually pull that ferrule to the end of the pipe. This is a very difficult thing because those ferrules crimp on there very tight. And I was able to get that ferrule to the end of the pipe using this faucet puller. Now again, I did screw up and accidentally deleted the original video, but I had a second take because there was actually two of these faucets that I needed to do. So here's the video of me doing that second take and how it is that I used the faucet puller to get that ferrule to the end of the pipe.
That is now compressed onto the copper pipe that makes it almost impossible to get off of there. Like, it just doesn't slide off. There's no way, right? No matter what you do, it's not coming off of there. So what I did is I went and got this faucet handle puller, which is a little chintzy in the sense of what it is, but it really works pretty well. It mangled this here fender washer because I used it to cap the pipe. So basically it sits right there like that and grabs a hold of the back of the nut and then pulls the whole thing to the end of the pipe. And then once it was at the end of the pipe, I used my little hacksaw to cut a groove in the edge of the ferrule, and then I cracked it open with a screwdriver. Worked out pretty well. So let's see how this goes. All right, here we go. So I'm going to try and pull this ferrule off using this here faucet handle puller, and I'm going to grab the back of the nut, use this washer here to hold it up against the end of the pipe, and try and slide that ferrule to the end. So let's see how this goes. I just did the other one. Both the valves on the toilets went out at the same time. So I have to replace both of them. Okay, so you see how that works? How this kind of grabs the back of the nut, and then as I spin this, it's going to start pulling that ferrule to the end, and hopefully then we can cut it off.
At this point, I was able to keep twisting that handle and pull that nut to the end of the pipe, where I was able to then use my little hacksaw in order to cut the groove in the ferrule and then split the ferrule apart so I could get it on the pipe. Okay, back to where we left off.
So we're on to plan 2 because I couldn't pull it the rest of the way off. Now, you can see I kind of mangled my fender washer there. But what I have done, and I don't know if you can really see it on there, is I've cut a little groove right here. Right, and so I cut it across, and what I'm going to try and do is put a screwdriver in there and twist it open. I saw this trick on the internet. I may have to cut that a little deeper to make it work, but I got this little bit that I found, and I figured that might fit pretty nice right in there. And if I give it a twist, hopefully it'll decompress it some. So I may need to cut it a little deeper, and I may need to cut all the way through it. I don't know. We'll see here. So we'll see how this does. We're gonna grip it. Nope. Okay, I need to cut it a little deeper. All right, so I've already been at it for a while, but you don't get a whole lot of movement in here, so. You know what's fun about this is the other one, I have 2 of these I have to do today. The other one is in a tighter spot than this one is. Oh, that totally worked. Oh, no way. Yes.
And since I am an awesome videographer, I failed to record the actual installation of the new valve. So luckily I had 2 takes and got to do the second valve on the second bathroom. And so this is the installation video of that.
That worked. All right, let's get that thing off of there and get the new one on. Alright, we're back. And so I wanted to clean up that little bit of, or that pipe there just a little bit before I put the new fitting on. I couldn't really find any emery cloth or anything, so I found this here pad, and I figured we'll just do something like this with it. And just kind of not go too much, just enough to kind of clean it up there a little bit. Man, homeownership's so much fun. Okay, I got my here new valve, all right? Can't forget the trim piece. Gotta put that on there. Gotta make everything pretty, you know. Okay. So I don't have a new supply line. I got my wife picking up a new one of those, so I can't really actually turn this one back on after I get the valve in. But again, just like in reverse, the one that came off, you want to put your nut on, and you got your ferrule. Then you got your valve. That sits way deep inside there, and then you screw those 2 together. Alright. And now it's time to get the tool. Well, then I gotta heighten it up a little bit more. You know, I've never been a fan of compression fittings. They just seem to work like too much like magic, you know, like that squeezing of that ferrule around the pipe, compressing it into the valve, and then that making a secure fit just doesn't seem to make sense, you know, but that's just the way these things work. All right, I'm gonna try and get that thing tightened in. I don't know, man, I have to remove this toilet in order to make this happen. Let me see here. And there it is, up and functioning.